A loud and nostalgic school bell rings, and as it goes off, all the students in the different classes get ready to leave. In one of the classes, our main protagonist is also ready to leave. However, instead of leaving, he looks around and quietly walks off, checking everything. Someone calls out to him from behind, and in fear, he glances back. His teacher tells him not to forget his duties with the bunnies and smiles at him. As Kuroz calms down and acknowledges his duties, he bows slightly, and in the next instant, the teacher is surrounded by girls and boys. Kuroz's teacher is a star at the school, and almost everyone is a fan of him. Even Kuroz himself can't help but be in awe of the presence and aura that he possesses. As he walks, wondering to himself that his time there will be fun, it all goes down. We see 3 timid bunnies terrified of something. 2 students laugh at someone, and Kuroz cries that all his life he only ever wanted peace and no trouble. 2 more students mock someone and tell him to choose something properly as it would make him look more mature. There, Kuroz is lying as a couple of guys are making him eat rabbit poop and are forcefully opening his mouth so they could chug the whole scoop full of that gross stuff and choke him. Kuroz cries and exclaims for help, and they laugh while he struggles under them. They laugh, telling him to chew it harder. Kuroz was earlier begging not to be caught by these bullies, but he ends up meeting them anyway, and they would always make his life hell. One of the bullies yells and asks Fudo for the next torture. He quietly approaches Kuroz and lifts his face up using his foot, telling them that Kuroz still looks handsome and he probably needs piercing in his ears. Kuroz starts to beg him to stop since his mother hates the idea of piercings, and he exclaims, telling him that all hell will break loose in his home. Hearing this, Fudo shouts that piercing his ear would be the next thing they would try. From the side, a girl questions just how they will pierce the skin, and Fudo tells them that they will be using a safety pin and make a hole with that. As his tears overflow and he cries, Fudo starts to push the needle in his ear, and it ends up going all the way. Poor Kuroz shouts from the pain and cries out, and Fudo just laughs, wondering if gluing the tip would help with the pain. As he wonders of any other way to make the pain last longer, from the side, a teacher opens the door and sees the bullying in action. Kuroz immediately glances at her and mutters her name. The teacher asks them what is going on, and Fudo simply tells her that they are checking his ear since it was bitten by a bunny. As she hears these useless, absurd comments, she asks Kuroz if he is okay and if that is what happened. Immediately, Kuroz remembers how Fudo threatened him and told him to never snitch, and if he were to ever do something like that, they would kill him and even make his mother's life hell. With a trembling voice, he mutters and tells the teacher that he is okay and he is just receiving help from his friends. It is clear that he is trembling from pain and fear, but the weird and stupid teacher just looks at him and passes out a fake smile, complimenting that they sure are very close with each other. As Fudo pats her shoulder and walks her out, she leaves without asking anything again. Just as she leaves, everyone starts to mock her and how she is still into adult fantasy between 2 men. Fudo tells everyone that their plans for today may be cancelled, and they would need to change their strategies. As he passes a menacing look toward Kuroz, he looks back, knowing that he could never run away from these pieces of trash. Their next plan is to make him get into such a troublesome situation that he himself would need to cry from humiliation. The first thing that he is assigned is to confess to the most undesirable girl in the class. Kuroz has to confess to the obese girl of their class, and he would have to do it in front of everyone and out loud. As he shouts, the girl knows that he is pulling something off and slaps him in front of the entire class. As 2 girls see this, they wonder to themselves if Kuroz has a screw nut or something and why would he damage his reputation in front of everyone like this. Kuroz is told not to stop there and further confess to someone else. As he does it, one of his classmates kicks him and tells him not to cross the line. As Kuroz stutters and looks back, questioning him, Siki tells him to stop messing around, and he already knows why he is confessing his love to anyone he sees. As one of the girls questions Kuroz's intention, Kuroz is sad that even though his classmate knows that something is going on with him, he never bothers to help him or even call for help. Siki leaves and tells him to stop playing victim and fight back. As he leaves, Kuroz is shaken by those words and questions just how he would be able to fight when he is up against almost all the bullies and their families. He is pushed to the point that there is only one option left. Later, after the hellish school session ends, he gets back and is sure to just transfer and withdraw from the school once and for all. He even goes all the way and writes a heartfelt message to the principal. Kuroz cries that he really wants to graduate, but at this rate, his life would be pushed to the maximum extent, and he would no longer be able to endure. From the back, his mother surprises him and asks what he is doing, and he spins around and asks her why she isn't on her night shift. His mother tells him that she forgot something, and her attention is grabbed by the letter that he wrote earlier. As she sees it, and realizes that it is in fact a letter about him withdrawing from the school. In fury, she slaps him and reminds him that she worked day and night to support his expensive school, and if he were to leave now, there was no point in her working all those long hours. He starts to share how he actually plans to get a certificate from a university, and how he plans to provide for both of them, and his mother notices something strange about him and points out that his ear is pierced. In an instant, she is beyond furious, and she begins to stomp on him and takes out her anger as he grunts and cries out that it isn't the full story. His mother starts to cry and weep that she is the most unfortunate woman for giving birth to a useless human. Although she is sad and feels like her hard work is wasted just like this, she doesn't even bother to ask his side of the story. The next day, his cycle of bullying would definitely continue, and he asks how on God's good green earth would he be able to escape this ongoing hell. As his regular duty is called, and he returns to the bunnies, he sees something very sad. A bunny is killed by the bullies and left to die. Poor Kuroz gasps for air and is broken down from the inside as all the bullies laugh at him and the bunny. Kuroz starts to cry and immediately spins around to attack, but one of the bullies throws him to the ground and reminds him that the bunny died because he was rejected by everyone else, and there was nothing that they could do, and in the first place, they didn't even do anything. With rage, he screams that they killed the speechless animal and cries why they are going this far. They mock him, and Kuroz is serious with his question and yells at them to answer. Fudo sees a flashback of Kuroz all laughing and happy when he wasn't bullied, and he takes a pause and stomps his head down and tells him that it is fun to play around with him, and it is much more entertaining to bully him. All broken and pushed to the maximum extent, poor Kuroz buries the bunny and bids him farewell. He knows for a fact that animals and their lives are just a plaything for them, and soon they will kill the rest of the animals, which is why he can't leave this school under any circumstances. He clenches the trowel, and is sure that he might be pushed to the level where he might even have to do something that never in his life he imagined. From behind, someone calls out to him again, and there, his teacher approaches him and comforts him, telling him that he heard from another teacher that one of the bunnies was not accepted by others and was killed in a horrible way. As Kuroz walks off, ignoring all the other things that he spews, Kuroz has a pissed expression that is clear as day. He is about to do something terrible. The teacher glances at him and immediately grabs his hand, taking back his previous comments about the bunny as they both interact in a rather intense conversation. His teacher reminds him that seeking revenge won't bring back the bunny's life. With pure hatred and angry tone, he asks his teacher what he is supposed to do. The teacher grabs his shoulder and tells him to rethink everything and tells him that Kuroz must rely on him no matter what. He reminds him of his dream, and Kuroz hears everything. The teacher even adds that he is going to catch the culprit and expose him no matter what. As he comforts and tries his very best to lead Kuroz on the right path once more, he starts to cry from the worry, and his pure words finally reach Kuroz, and he drops the trowel. What seemed like a hopeless fight, he is sure that this teacher is the only thread that he is holding on with everything that he has. The next day, Kuroz's eyes widen as his teacher does something that he has no idea would be possible. However, to everyone else, this is just a boring thing. His teacher makes a bold plan to tackle with abuse of any type by introducing a complaint box, in which students having any problem could share them without revealing their identities. In this way, anyone who has problems or things that they are actively facing, disputes, bullying, harassment, or blackmailing, can be discussed by the teacher and the authorities. Although this seems like a very normal and positive change, this is actually a nightmare for Kurose. As he sweats heavily and glares back at Fudo, who is beyond angry, it is clear that Kurose's actions create a tighter environment for their bullying. Now everyone could complain about their behavior and potentially get caught. And later, his nightmare comes to light. Up on the rooftop, Kurose gets slammed to the ground and grunts from the pain. Fudo and the guys are at it again, and this time it seems like they are more aggressive than before. From the start, Fudo makes sure that if he were to snitch, they would literally rain hell on him. They start to kick him, knowing that the teacher knows about their activities. As he grunts and questions why he is always in the center of them, in a cold and dead voice, Fudo tells him to jump, and in this way, all their tough times will be normal again. This is something that would make them murderers, and he starts to realize the weight behind their words. Fudo brings out his mobile and starts to tell him that he will make sure to deliver his last message to his mother. It seems they all are actually there to see him jump, and he immediately dashes off, telling them that this is too much. The girl in the group pushes him and tells him that it is his fault for getting bullied in the first place. She shouts and tells him to die so she would stop getting dreams of him. One of the guys pushes her off and tells her to relax and tell him in a much better way. One of the bullies start to beg him to jump off the roof and cries about how this will be the greatest gift that he could give them. Kurose exclaims and tells him that they are murderers. Soon every single one of them turns disgusting high school bullying into an attempted murder. They start to push him and corner him near the edge of the roof, and one of the bullies tells him that his mother herself is miserable to support him and his expensive school, and tells him that in this way he would surely be able to make it up to his mother. As he realizes they have no intention of letting him off, they are able to corner him right at the edge of the rooftop. And all of them start to tell him that his death would mean everything to them. They start to sing and repeatedly tell him to jump and jump. Kurose is at a point that everything starts to spin, and he is sure that this is worse than hell itself, and the dizziness soon affects his whole body. He slips, and there he is about to fall off the cliff. For the last time, he stretches his hand in hopes that maybe he could at least once experience mercy from his enemy, and Fudo stretches out his hand and waves him goodbye as he falls to his death. The last thing that poor Kurose sees isn't his still face, rather, it is him spitting on him as he falls. Crying and with rage boiling inside him, he tells him that he would never forgive him. As Fudo laughs and tells him that he doesn't care about his vengeance and forgiveness, Kurose falls down, crying that if he were to get one more chance and had different circumstances, he would gladly take it and fight back harder than ever. He prays, and on the other side, his teacher, Shiratori, is roaming around and notices Kurose's shoe on the ground. As he kneels to check the tag and confirm it, on top of him is Kurose falling. As Shiratori hears his cries, he looks up, and Kurose's head strikes with Shiratori's head perfectly, that every fiber in their bodies reacts in harmony to each other. And the thunder strikes harder than ever. As they both bleed to their death, one tragedy helps another, and both lie there, bleeding heavily from the head. After several days, the news of Kurose's jump goes viral, and everyone in the school knows about it. They are much more attracted to Shiratori's accident rather than his, and Kurose's jump is concluded as an attempt to take one's own life. Although his head is done for, he still clings on to life and is unconscious in the hospital. Somehow Kurose is able to survive that fall and now is fighting for his life. As Fudo laughs and mocks Kurose's miserable luck, he smiles and is happy that he had a blast. He mutters that teacher Shiratori must have died as well and cries that he should have at least seen this masterful painting. A portrait of Shiratori stands proudly at the front of the school, drawing gazes from every student. Compliments and praises for the expensive painting fill the air, and a shy Shiratori responds to their comments. From the back, the real Shiratori greets everyone. Upon seeing the portrait, he exclaims that he must have missed a lot during his absence. Despite terrible injuries, Shiratori appears fine, casually walking back into school. His presence electrifies everyone. They rush towards him, inquiring about his well-being. As he reassures them that he's okay, and so is the student with him, Shiratori begins to stutter and misspeak occasionally. Fudo, observing Shiratori's popularity and the students' fondness for him. He grows visibly displeased and pissed. He mutters to himself that he should get Shiratori out of the school as well. From the side, Shiratori gently pats Fudo's shoulder, remarking that it was worth it to return as a teacher. When Shiratori says this, an afterimage of Kuro's flickers, and the choice of words feels distinctly like something Kuro's would say. Fudo glances back, fact-checking Shiratori, asking if he can help him. Shiratori replies that there's nothing, simply stating he patted his shoulder because he was happy to be back. However, in reality, the perfectly timed impact from Kuro's head transferred his consciousness into his teacher's body. As he wakes up from the injury, Kuro's is in control of Shiratori's body. He has become him. He still wonders what happened to his teacher, but Kuro's has no time for such thoughts. This time, his revenge will be so brutal that their screams will be heard everywhere. He swears he is determined to drag them and everyone around them down to the pits of hell. He shouts, "I will have my revenge in the most painful way." That night, as he's about to leave, Kuro's visits Fudo's portrait. He reminds himself that he will never forgive him, and will rain terror upon him. He will ensure his revenge is inhumane and beyond reasoning. This will be Kuro's reply to their undying bullying. He begins to stab the portrait, drawing a cross right near Fudo's head. With a cold and chilling tone, he tells them that their teacher will review their next lesson with them. For Kuro's, high school was a prison and a torture room. He remembers being beaten with a baseball bat, grunting in pain while everyone around him laughed as if something amusing was happening to livestock. As they left, laughing and having a blast, poor Kuro's grunted, trying his best to get up, weeping about how from the first day of high school, his life had been nothing but beatings. Just as everything seemed over, the door opens one more time, and in comes Yui. He shouts that it's a good day since Kuro's wasn't robbed and now he would do the honors and take all his money. He quickly sits down, and starts looking into his bag, and quietly takes out the money he had. Kuro's pleads with him not to take it, as it's all he has for the month. Yui laughs, telling him he's making a grand portrait of Fudo, and needs additional funds for it. Even though the idea of drawing was Yui's, he is extorting money from the victim of the bully. Kuro's cries out, telling him not to do it, pleading that he'd been saving that money for the school field trip. With a cold tone, Yui tells Kuro's he doesn't even have friends, so why would he want to go on the trip anyway? With a trembling voice, Kuro's tells him that he would die to become a teacher, and this trip is his chance to get closer to his dream. Yui starts to mock him, saying that if Kuro's were to teach, he would make everyone else a weakling. He starts to spew about how his own dream is much more important and impactful than Kuro's. As he says this, he grabs a nearby bat, and in the next instant, he slams it against Kuro's head. He screams that Kuro's existence and value in this society are zero. As Kuro's wakes up back in the present, still inside Shiratori's body, he gasps for air and calms himself down. It has been 8 days since he switched minds, and somehow, Kuro's has perfectly adjusted to his teacher's life. Now, Kuro's aim and main purpose is to take revenge, but he reflects that he won't destroy his teacher's life by simply killing them all. Instead, he will take a more calculated way to achieve his revenge. As his eyes filled with hatred and determination, he marked his first target, Yui. In the school, all the bullies saw the portrait that Yui drew, and it was all messed up. As Yui questioned who could have done this, they all were sure that someone did this out of jealousy. Although nobody knew what happened, they continued their day. After their class, Yui was devastated and cried out that it took him days and days to make that. Shiratori slides the classroom door open and enters, announcing to everyone that there is something important they all need to listen to. He exclaims that during the sports class, a girl's underwear was lost. As Nene herself stood there with a troubled face, the whole class exclaims, muttering among each other. Shiratori tells them, since Yui's painting was damaged as well, something must be taking place, and the teachers need to hold a meeting and discuss this event and the painting event as well. He adds that to verify everything and make sure things don't escalate, they would be searching everyone's bag. As all the kids start to stand up and refuse this request, Yui stands up and requests them to cooperate. Deep down, He himself wants to find who messed up his painting and if that person is present in this room. Shiratori assigns the other teacher to inspect the girls' belongings, and they both start to go through their stuff. They keep going, and soon it is Yui's turn, and Miss Nene approaches him and requests his cooperation. As Yui is displeased and even swears at his teacher, telling her to check someone who actually looks suspicious, her eyes widen to see something very unexpected. Inside his bag is the missing underwear. As all the panic and chatter among students start to take place, everyone around him begins to spew how he must have brought an adult magazine to the school. He starts to sweat, and Shiratori silences the entire classroom and approaches him and confirms the possession himself. He gently lets him know that they can't escalate this problem any further, and Yui would need to stop by his office after school. As Kurosa's plan starts to work perfectly, after school, Yui is beyond saving and cries that he has no idea how his bag had the underwear. As he starts to stutter and explain his side of the story, Shiratori tells Nene to excuse both of them, since Yui might have a difficult time opening up in front of a female teacher. As she leaves and gives them some private time, Shiratori brightens up and tells Yui that there is no way he doubts a student from his class. He adds that their first and last thing to do is to convince teacher Nene, who knows that he did it. Shiratori starts to add how if this thing escalates, Yui's dream of becoming an artist might be at stake. After he hears these words, he starts to fumble and stutter heavily. He couldn't believe that this was possible, and Shiratori starts to explain how the internet could affect everything that they are going through, and if his act is recorded and mentioned anywhere on the internet, he would have to say goodbye to his career. As he adds fuel to the fire and mentions how female associations are taking strict action toward underwear thieves and perverts, he mentions that there are artists who were ruined by small crimes and ended up dying miserable lives. As Shiratori perfectly corners him mentally and reminds him how he needs to forget his dream of becoming an artist if this thing escalates, the whole world of Yui comes crumbling down. He shouts that he would never go that low. Immediately, clever Kuros brings out a fake tear bottle and swiftly pours it into his eyes while comforting Yui and telling him how he would help Yui find evidence no matter what, and how they would think this through. As Shiratori cries fake tears and cries out to him, telling him that he would protect his student's career and life, even if it cost him his, Yui is completely moved by these words, and his whole world changes. The teacher whom he hated earlier is actually an angel who would help him fight false claims. He grabs his teacher's hands and exclaims what he must do. As he sees the ugly begging face he makes, Shiratori is sure that he has Yui completely in his palm, and he is head over heels and would do anything at this point. He gets up and starts to spew how it is hard to find anything, and the true culprit is smarter and wanted to frame Yui and his friends. He glances back with a fake serious expression, telling him that the real culprit would never be found in time, and they would need to do something different. As he approaches Yui, he tells him that there is something that would reverse everything, and they could somehow make it out safe and sound. As he pats his head, every neuron in his brain is ready to do something terrible to him. As he fakes his support, he gently brings out his mobile and messages Nene one more time and asks her for a favor that only she could do. As Shiratori smiles, he is sure that the countdown has just begun. The next day, during sports class, Yui remains behind and quietly waits for all the students to leave. Yui quickly brings out the underwear that was inside his bag and quietly tries to sneak it inside the bag of a fellow classmate. As he apologizes for his actions, on his face is an expression that only cowards and low-life trash would have. For him, his life and dream hold more weight, and the rest of the people are just dust that hinders his path. As he is sneaking this, from the side, Nene casually walks in and catches him in action. What seemed like a perfect plan that Shiratori told Yui to follow is actually a method that he wanted to use to frame him and completely destroy him. Nene tackles him down, and there, his life begins to go downhill in the fastest way. On the other hand, Shiratori smirks and reminds himself that the show is just about to start. Later, in the conference room, both teachers confront him again, and this time Nene is sure that he stole the underwear. As he cries, Nene tells him that he tried to put the blame on someone else. As Shiratori tries to defend Yui again, Nene angrily gets up and reminds him that he has no right to say that, after the things he was doing. She exclaims that there is no way he can defend him after his behavior. Shiratori lowers his head and grunts since it is all true. His deeds are severe and beyond saving for now. As Yui starts to cry, Shiratori can't help but laugh because of his troubled face. Kurose isn't here to just frame him for a petty crime or something. Rather, his main goal is to perfectly end the career he cares so much for. This is going to be his ultimate revenge. Shiratori brings out a beautiful handmade fountain pen and tells Yui that he was serious in supporting his student to the point that he would spend his own money just to support his creativity. As he sees this, Yui's trust climbs higher, and he is about to cry from the gift, and quickly bows down and begs for forgiveness, and cries that he only wanted to prove his innocence, and that is why he tried to frame someone else. As both teachers start to spew how they would need at least 12 hours to decide something, Nene quietly leaves and exclaims that his class is just full of trouble, and tells him that first it was Kurose's jump, and now an underwear thief. Hearing this, the ugly turd, Yui, mutters and tells his teacher not to compare him to Kurose, and adds that he was just a hopeless person who only wanted to die. He tells him that his case is more important, and is just a minor false accusation. Shiratori in fury lands a right punch across his cheek and drops him to the ground. After taking out his anger, he grabs him and yells how he has failed the plan, and now he is only one step closer to destroying everything. He tells him to hold on, and he would have to search the entire security camera footage to find something that could help them. And also mention that he found a strange black figure in the class that day, and he could be the real culprit who framed him and caused him to suffer. He tells him to wait for the result after school. Hearing this, his mood brightens, and this time he is sure that something could happen and surely he would be able to make it through these tough times. He thanks his teacher and passes him a big wide smile. After 4 excruciating hours, he waits and waits just to go back to the teacher's office and settle this problem and see the result of the camera footage. However, when he opens the door with a smile, Shiratori sits there with a grim atmosphere, and he bows down his head and apologizes to him that he was not able to find anything. He tells him that all the footage from the camera is erased, and someone got the best of them. Just hearing this, a bomb goes off inside his head, and his depression comes to life. He starts to tell him that he would do anything to save himself and his career, and he tells him to search the garbage bin for the file, and surely there could be a flash drive that has the data they are looking for. As they both spread out to search for the flash drive, Yui goes through tons and tons of trash, but he is not able to find anything. From the side, a man is emptying a bin, and he quickly calls out to him and asks what he is burning. He replies and tells him that he is taking care of some data-containing documents that he was told to take care of. As he glances inside, he notices that there is a flash drive inside. He quickly orders the old man to grab that drive, and he tells him to think carefully since it is blazing hot, and he would get burns instantly. As he starts to push him, the old man leaves him, and he is so desperate to take that drive that he starts to get flashbacks of Shiratori's instructions and how he could be done and would have to sacrifice his career over this accident. He starts to mutter how he would hate that, and he is pushed to the point, and he leaps over with faith and tries to grab the drive. As flames scorch and burn his fingers, he grunts at first, but seeing the flash drive almost getting burned to a crisp, he reaches all the way inside that fire and starts to scream that he would do anything for his dream. As he screams and grabs the flash drive, he pulls it, and his entire arm is engulfed in flames. As the heat starts to become unbearable, he starts to shout for help, and the fire from his clothes begins to damage the arm. He starts to cry for help and screams as loud as he could. He couldn't believe that his perfect life was turned upside down so fast. As he looks ahead, he sees Shiratori quietly approaching, and he begs for him to help. And there Shiratori is looking at him with dead eyes, and he can't believe that his lie about the flash drive worked so perfectly. As he puts out the fire, by this time, his entire arm is burned to a crisp, and he brings out the expensive pen that he bought and tells him that his teacher would never let him die. And as he smiles, knowing that his teacher would take care of him, Shiratori tells him in a cold tone that he would save anyone, and those he will save will continue their career as well, but in his case, it will not be possible. As he touches his shoe, he slams his shoes on his hand and tells him that he has failed. Yui cries from the pain, and Shiratori breaks the pen in half and tells him the words that he told him in the past. He repeats and tells him that to this society, he is just useless. As he cries and begs for mercy, he remembers how he treated Kuros and starts to mutter "forgive me" over and over again. As tears overflowed, he exclaims and shouts at the top of his lungs that bullies can never be forgiven. His thunderous scream is heard loud and clear, and he continues and tells him to suffer like this for the rest of his days. There, Yui's arm and face are entirely burned, and he weeps as his career, he was so proud of, ends by the hand of his victim. Shiratori's quest for revenge has just begun.